love. This is probably one of those few times that we bring together three couples from different parts of the world with distinct histories, sharing their stories with us. Love is a many splendid thing. On the panel, Raga, Olga De Silva and Nicola Fenton, Sridhar Rangayan and Sagar Gupta, Rituparna Borah and Amrita Tripathi. And the panel will be moderated by the fabulous Anwesh Sahoo. I hand over to you, Anwesh.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shivraj. Hi, folks. I'm Anwesh Kumar Sahoo. And if you do not know me, then Google me, because tonight is not about me. It's about these three incredible superstar couples that we have with us tonight. So I extend a very warm welcome to our viewers and our panelists who are joining us tonight from different parts of the world. It's an international panel tonight, guys. We are international. We are big now. Anyway, so we have with us Sridhar, who is an iconic filmmaker, producer, writer. He's the festival director of Kashish Mumbai International Queer Film Festival. We have with us Sagar. He's a reputed dialogue writer and poet based out of Mumbai. He is also the founding member and director of programming at Kashish. Together, they've given us some of the most iconic queer films that come out of India. Gulabi Aina, Evening Shadows, Breaking Free. They've been together for 25, 26 years. And definitely really looking forward to having a conversation with you folks tonight. We also have with us Ritu. She is a queer feminist activist, co-founder of Nasaria. She loves cats and cooking. And Amrita, she's a writer by day and a slightly better one by night. She loves Ritu, cats, and dogs. And of course, we have Raga and Nicola. They're both directors and at Speaking Minds. They are just two women together for over 13 years, still totally in love and very committed to their love and to sharing the world with their love with the world. So thank you folks for joining us. I'll quickly head over to Sridhar and begin my series of questioning. So
question us at all.
So Sridhar, a little birdie told me that you were known as Pakiza. So tell me more about this last local from Churchgate. What was it all about?
So there are two different stories. One was the last train from Churchgate, or basically was called the Queen's Express. All of us used to gather at the Gokul's bar. I'm talking about 1980s, before meeting him, of course. So we would actually gather at the Gokul's bar, and all of us would be drinking through the night on Saturdays, and then take the last train back. And we used to be dancing and singing in the train, and that used to be called the Queen's Express. But the story about Pakiza is totally different. I met Sagar, we met each other on the streets of Mumbai, cruising each other. I don't even know whether you youngsters know what you're always on the dating app per se. But we used to cruise. Our gaydars used to be very active, and we cruise each other. And basically, when we are courting, I would actually go and wait at the railway station for him to come back from his work. He used to be working late night shifts, and he would take the last train back again, but on working days. And I would be waiting there. So my friends used to call me Pakiza, because in Pakiza, Meena Kumari would wait for the last train to arrive, but she would never arrive, but Sagar arrived every time.
Oh God, so cute. And Sagar, like how did you guys actually meet? So was it through the local, or was it before that you met? Of course, I mean, you guys of course came across each other while cruising, but how has this relationship, like how did it actually take off?
As Sridhar has mentioned, that we happened to meet each other by cruising, and after that, means it was supposed to be just one night affair, which, as our friends teasingly say, that it was one night stand which never went away. So it takes a lot of I won't say hard work, but then a lot of love and compassion and care for each other, like to make it happen. And I wouldn't miss. It won't look nice to say myself that I used to carry morning breakfast because we were staying in the lane opposite across the roads, across the road. So I used to carry on my off days morning breakfast to.
But that is the days you didn't sleep.
Yeah, that's why I used to come knocking on your door with the goodies, breakfast goodies. So yeah.
So basically, the thing is like that one night particularly, I mean, changed our lives because like I just thought like he was so cute. I mean, back then, even now, of course, but he was so cute. And also he had this love for poetry, which I really admired, you know. He read out some of his poems that night, you know, and that really hooked me on completely. And also I realized that he's a creative person. And we felt that perhaps, I mean, that is just on one night, we can't decide, obviously, but we felt that perhaps we can live together and make something like a project together. We dreamed of a project that night itself, you know. So that night, we said like, I think we should make films together and win an Oscar. The Oscar has not happened yet, but we are still together.
It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. Now I have more questions for you, but we'll quickly hop on to Nicola and Raga. Now, Raga, you have been, you are from Mumbai and Nicola happens to be from New Zealand. How did this international global love story happen? Where did it happen?
I loved Anwesh. I love Sridhar and Sagar's story. I mean, what a beautiful story. I'm just going to go and stand at the railway station now as well. You know, we should. Hey, you know, Nicola and I have a similar story, actually. I was living in New Zealand those days, and I met Nicola at a function. I used to be the deputy chair of the India-New Zealand Business Council. So as part of my work, I went to the New Zealand Parliament where Nicola was working, and we just exchanged cards, and we said, let's stay in touch. But there was something. And so we met, then I was traveling, I was away for a little bit of time. And when I came back, I connected with her and we met for coffee. Mm-hmm. It was a Sunday, 10 o'clock coffee in Wellington, beautiful Wellington. Then we decided we're going to go for a walk. Then we decided we're going to extend that for a drive. And it just that the day never ended. It's 13 years and that day hasn't ended. We still, see? Coffee.
I have personally been obsessed. I think I have told Raga enough times that since I've known you both, I've just been so inspired because it's very important for us to have, you know, queer representation of of women. I think especially in India, I don't know if this is just an Indian thing or if it's a global thing, but queer women are mostly invisibilized, and it's important that we give that voice to queer women to actually put both their stories, and yours is such a beautiful love story together. And I'm really, really looking forward to knowing more about your story. We'll quickly hop on to Ritu and Amrita. Now, Ritu and Amrita are actually engaged. They just got engaged during the lockdown. Congratulations. Can we just have a loud round of applause? Tell us more about your story, Ritu and Amrita. I have a mini crush on Amrita, by the way. I have told Amrita. Ritu
now
and
I won't be able to sleep.
Oh God.
So we know each other for since 2016. 2016, I met her at a party, and she'll be able to tell you better because this one was.
It was a common friend's birthday, and Ritu was sitting alone, and I was, you know, more of an introvert and a very shy person back then. So I walked up to her, made a conversation, asked her what does she do. She says, I'm a queer feminist activist. And and then I ran away from her because I had heard those 3 words separate, but not in a sentence together. Anyway, then we reconnected in 2018. I had to write a report and I needed some input, so I knew her and connect. And then in 2019, we had some common friends, and they happened to come to Ritu's place for lunch and also invited me. So that's when we reconnected, and then we hung out a few times with the friends, and then she asked me out. So.
And the friends knew beforehand that we love each other before we told each other that we love each other. And my domestic help and my friends and our friends told that you love each other. And we're like, no, we don't.
All the observers already do. It's the people who are in love, they get to know about it. They're actually are the last ones to acknowledge it. We all know it. Sridhar and Sagar, coming back to you folks, I'm really actually curious to know, how have you folks been able to manage to maneuver your relationship in those last 25 to 26 years, especially like in a pre-Section 377 world where maybe how was it for actually two men to be living in India? How difficult or easy was it for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting was like we were setting up the home together. After, I mean, he moved in into my house, I think around 3 months after we met each other, and then we have been together forever, locked in for 24/7 together, because we work from home, and that's really caustic, believe me, working and living together 24/7. But we have been together, and initial years was difficult because like we would go to a supermarket to buy. Not those days, not this big malls or anything. I'm talking about the 1995, 97. And they were just basically small shops. Basically, we would go to shop for groceries, and two men holding a basket and trying to shop for things, and we consulting each other. Is it there in the kitchen or not? Do we have that? And people just kind of look, all these housewives would have come to shop. They would look at us and wonder what's this. But that's the way we navigated the thing. I mean, I wouldn't say there were no role models. There were quite a few people before us who have been in relationship. We looked up to them. But basically, there was nothing in the media, nothing in terms of movies or books for us to go by. So we set our own rules per se, So our rule is don't tell. So
okay. Now you are telling me.
So basically, I'm saying like what I mean is like we basically put up our own rules, saying that like we do not want to really navigate each and every. We never sat down and put out our rules. That's what the main thing is, We never sat down, and a lot of couples do that. Okay, these are the rules we'll go by, So we never set any rules at all. We just let it float. And I think for the first 4 or 5 years, it was just day by day. We don't even know when we're going to be together, when we're going to move out per se. You give me a lot of reasons for me to move out, no? So anyway, initial years were all full of joy and fights, obviously. But after a couple of years, we did settle down. Fights are not big fights. Don't look at me like that.
No, I'm just listening to you.
so the very fact that like if you had not met each other that moment, because we were not from the same circle. I mean, my circle of friends were different and his circle of friends were different. We just accidentally met at that moment, at that precious moment on the streets. For me, that always holds importance, because if we had not met each other in that moment, we would have never met each other ever. Because our worlds wouldn't have collided at all, And for me, that's so precious. I just want to hang on to that. I don't know. You want to add something else?
Yeah.
Basically, I'll start from like each relationship is to its own. Like you can't define if our relationship is like that, then other person's relationship should be also like that. Means we don't have any set rules in our relationship, but in my personal view, I always feel like I'm talking about our relationship. Like it's always like ballroom dancing, where one has to follow and other has to lead. So and we keep on switching the roles in between and for different
different activities. He's the lead of different activities. I'm the lead.
How adorable.
Yeah. So I think I go by that one unspoken rule.
Yeah. That's so cute. It's so good to know that.
And one of the things is like also, I just want to mention that we navigated our relationship at a time when there was not, the homosexuality was not so out in the open. There were no talks about it. I mean, there was hardly any talks at that point of time, and there was no dating apps. So at that, and when we met, basically the social circles was so incestuous. You would only meet a gay man if you want to have sex with a gay man. So alternate families were very rare. So what was for me good was when I was coming out, I managed to find a set of around 15, 20 friends whom we formed as an alternate family. And we were not fuck buddies, We were just social friends who were gay, happened to be gay. And that family has stayed on. And of course, that family inspected him. I called him for interview, one of them. so whatever you call it, So we don't believe in any gender stereotype, but like they wanted to find out whether he's a right match for me. So they interviewed him, then they were concerned. So all that used to happen. And what I'm saying is like we navigated at a time where every gay man would look at another gay man as a prey. So even as a relationship, it was not stable because we were being preyed upon by different people. I mean, obviously we were young those days, So we also had our desires for us to stay together.
I was younger.
Oh, you're younger, of course. He's 7 years younger than me. So so he always says, "Tumne kabutar ko pinjre mein band kar diya," right?
Yeah.
So I managed to captivate him. He was 7 years younger. I just managed to capture him. But that's a story per se. So we were navigated in time when it was really difficult. Everybody was basically having sex everywhere else, for having stable relationship, especially when the society is pulling you apart, especially when your families are pulling you apart. I mean, family initially didn't accept us, obviously. So at that point of time, we just had each other to hold on to each other, So that's what actually has basically kind of had us for 26 years now.
Yeah. It's wonderful. I'm so glad to know that. Clearly, it's such an equal relationship, and I think that's something that we all can learn from. I think I will quickly hop on to Nicola and Raga. I would first of all like to commend that the fact that Nicola, she's still healing. She wasn't keeping really well, and I'm so glad. I really commend her for joining us tonight in this conversation. Now, I would really like to understand, especially because Nicola and Raga have also lived in India together for a considerable amount of time. How important for you girls is the concept of marriage equality? How do you think it's important at all, in fact, or if it is important, why?
Let me answer this in two parts. I'll set some context and then Nicola can talk about the marriage equality. The first part is just to give a background, very quickly background about me. So I was formerly married. I was married, and from that marriage, I have twins. My twins are now 23 years old nearly. And we have a son and a daughter that Nicola and I have brought up together. So that is important to know because there was this heterosexual life that I led where I was married, and the perks and the benefits and the ideologies and the unconscious or conscious biases that came as part of that package is very important to know. And then I got into a relationship where I made a choice to be with, something that I've always wanted to do. It's like being gay is not a choice, as you know, and over time I accepted that for myself. And I met Nicola, and we decided we wanted to be together, bring up children, bring up what you call a regular, normal relationship. And I have seen the difference from that point of view. I've lived in India, I've lived in New Zealand for many, many years. Now we live in London. We've been here for nearly 10 years. So there is this whole perception of being, or the whole experience, let's say, of being gay in 3 different countries. And it's quite different. I can tell you that it's quite different. Now, being with Nicola in India was a wonderful experience, but it was also, again, it's in 2 parts. Part 1 was when I was completely hidden. I didn't want to talk about us because when I came out in New Zealand, I was very badly abused by our own community. Forget about friends and family. I mean, I was physically, emotionally, mentally abused. Okay. So I went into hiding for many years, 18 years. Last year in September, when my book was published called Untold Lies, that's when suddenly the world recognized that, oh, this is Raga and she's lived this life. And the same people who basically abandoned us came back and showed a lot of respect. So I think India has grown from that point of view. Mm-hmm. So I'll just leave that part of the story, and then Nicola can talk about the marriage narrative.
I think my point of view of marriage, whether you believe in marriage or you don't believe in marriage, it's everybody's right to choose. So I'm a big advocate of anti-discrimination laws. I saw New Zealand in the mid-80s had a similar bill to 377 that got overturned. It was called the Homosexual Law Reform Bill. You can put it absolutely on par with Section 377, but it took 2013 before full marriage rights. And in between that came anti-discrimination and so forth. And I saw my country change its views, change its narrative because of the law. The law came into place, and everybody says, well, why should it have to be law? Like, you can just live together, whatever. But when you're not allowed to discriminate, when it becomes law, like the government is us. The government is the people that we vote in. It's us, really. And so when laws are made like that, and after a while they become part of that society. So no matter how conservative or whatever somebody is, after a while, it just becomes normal. Now, the conservative types may not want to be gay or whatever, have people next door to them, but it becomes more accepted. So in my society, in our society, I saw that change. I saw the society go from non-acceptance, because there was a lot of non-acceptance. You know, when I was 15 and 16, we were out there shouting for this law reform bill, and people used to think all sorts of it, just the same as in India. But now that it's accepted in New Zealand society, but that doesn't mean that individuals accept it. But it's just like one of those things. It's like a lot of things that have got overturned and over time. And I believe that that's why laws are very important. That's why laws are very, very important, because then it becomes a choice. So that's my standing on marriage. So if I want to marry Raga, I should be allowed to marry Raga. If I don't want to marry Raga, I don't believe in marriage because of this, that, and the other. So what? Well, we don't get married, but it's my choice, and everybody should have equal choice. And I, after living in India for some time, I actually believe that there's a very progressive part of India, and I believe that at some stage that India will take on the marriage thing. And when we first moved to India, which was in about 2009, 2010, Raga went off to work and left me at home with the twins and her mother. So we became this sort of family, and it was sort of like, it was a little odd. And then I developed a relationship with Raga's mother, because Raga was out at work and we were doing everyday stuff to run the house and take the kids to school and all that. And I think that's what helped Raga's mother accept us a lot more, because it just became normal, you know, and it was quite nice. That's it.
Yeah. I think I agree to some extent, yes. I do see that change in some ways even happening now, replicating in India. I think we do have a very, very, very long way to go. But I think, like you mentioned, in your own country, you do see those changes happening one by one. Yeah. And maybe a very small part of India, I would say, is actually getting to see that transition happen now. I've seen that myself firsthand in my own college. And with my own relationship as well, with my parents not accepting the relationship at all, to finally slowly and steadily trying to understand what's happening with their son and his boyfriend. So yeah, very, very insightful. Thank you so much.
You should have the boyfriend on your panel.
No, I think I'm very happy to keep it private for a while. अभी इतने भी used to नहीं हुए हैं मेरे पापा मम्मी, अभी नया है, अभी थोड़ा रहने दो, time दो उनको भी. So to translate it for Nicola, they're still getting used to it. They still need some time to get used to this relationship of mine. So it will take some time for them to actually, for my partner to be in this conversation. But it's not about me. Anyway, moving on. I'll quickly hop on to Ritu and Amrita. I know that Ritu and Amrita have been in relationship and they've been living in India together. And they have a very interesting, actually, point of view about marriage equality. This is a question to both of you. Do you think in some way India is still not ready for marriage equality? Do you think there are more important issues that are to be dealt with in India right now, at least at this point in time?
Yeah. So I'm a queer feminist activist, and because of my activism, for me, marriage is not so important. And as a feminist person, I have to take marriage my entire life. So there are more important issues than marriage, like access to healthcare facilities, free gender confirmation surgeries, free, so many things, to take care of mental health care of LGBTQI people. And also what I feel is that there's so much privilege attached to marriage that only we can say that marriage will be a free choice only when we take out those privileges away from marriage. So you take away privileges, those economical benefits from marriage, then you can say that marriage is a free choice. Of course, we got engaged out of love and all, but for us, legal marriage equality is not so important. I think you can also talk about.
Yeah, I would love to know Amrita's point of view as well on this.
Yeah, so I think what I feel is we can move beyond marriage So basically, how I see, and I'm talking from my experience, how we see each other is like we are together in a domestic setting. So why should it be just between two people? Why not for polyamorous couples? Why not for a group of very close knit friends, like we say in the queer community? Your friends are your alternate family. Why don't have some? Maybe, I mean, I'm not completely against it being legal, but marriage, the definition of marriage has to sort of expand to domesticity, is what I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And also, what will happen is like what people are talking about, that ki if marriage happens, everything will get solved. This is not what will happen, right? Like the kind of activism now is taking on from the US or from the Western world, is what we're seeing is that if marriage equality comes to India, everything will get solved. Every day we hear about trans people getting killed, about lesbian women committing, like dying of suicide. So many issues are being faced every day. We are fighting cases on an everyday basis, and where we rely so much on friends. Like I have been we have been in relationship for almost 1.5 years, but my friends have been there with me for more than a decade. So where is this accountability for friends that I'll get? Why to benefit only one relationship over other relationships? I think these are some of the things. But also I feel like if heterosexual cis feminists can get married, why not queer people can get married? Queer people get married. That's also, I feel like, if cis feminists are getting married left, right, and center, why not queer people get married? But it should be I feel like marriage privileges should be taken away from marriage and then talk about choices.
Yeah. I think that's yes, yes.
May I add to this? I mean, I think it's a very interesting point of view that Rituparna has shared. I agree with her to an extent. I think the whole structure of marriage needs to be kind of reviewed and said, is it what is important? But I'll give you an example, okay? My own personal example, which I kind of went through recently. See, now, like I said, I have a New Zealand citizenship. I have a right to live in the UK, and I have a citizenship of India. So OCI for India as an NRI. So which means that I can take the benefits from each country. So in New Zealand, in UK, I have the right to legally marry. In India, that right is not available to me. Yet, although I've been totally with Nicola, committed to her, we have brought up children, we live absolutely a life which is a regular life, bringing up children, we haven't married. And I felt the same thing. I thought it's a choice that is offered to me, but I'm choosing not to marry until in September, Nicola was, in an emergency and she had a stroke. And end of September, when she was in a hospital in the UK, she was given fantastic treatment. So the hospital looked after her. But every time I called the hospital for Nicola, first of all, they would look for a Nicholas, instantly assuming that I was a woman calling for a man. Then they would say, sorry, there's no Nicholas in this place. Or I was not acknowledged as the next of kin as I would have expected to. So there were fears. I thought to myself, if there was a medical issue with Nicola, and if I had to make a choice or I have to sign certain papers, would I have been given the legal authority to sign papers? So to me, sorry, marriage is a very practical decision. Love is beyond practical.
Absolutely, Raga. That's what I was saying, that, to take away all these privileges from marriage. Why can't a friend sign on your behalf? And I was feeling the same when I was sick and my friends had to sign on my behalf. My parents wouldn't come. And it is so sick, because when the US legalized marriage, so many of my friends living in the US say that now they have to get married because civil partnership is not getting recognized, and they are forcibly getting married because it's out of choice, because they don't want to get married, but because they have to get the benefits of marriage, they're getting married. And this is such a sad state of affairs.
Just that. But I was telling another session that we were on with a very prominent moderator that, there are steps in our life. There's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Step 1 is where we've just met someone. Step 2 is where we have met someone and we wanted to be in a committed committed relationship. Say step 3 is maybe formalizing that relationship in whatever way we want. Step 4 is marriage. Step 5 or step 6 or step 7 is saying, actually, I'm choosing not to marry. We don't even have that basic choice right now. That is the point.
Yeah.
Deciding to marry or not to marry is a privilege, which we have, which many don't have, Rituparna. That is the thing. We have to start at least at that level. Then restructure it. Sorry.
I just want to add the same thing. Like, I mean, I think right now where we stand in India, once Section 377 is over and done with in 2018, I think the next is definitely an anti-discriminatory law. That should be the fight per se, you know. I mean, for me, not really marriage rights. But I still would imagine that if there's a law which comes up about marriage rights, I would definitely want to marry him, not because I love wedding. I don't want to have a wedding. I don't like the Karanjor wedding that we just want to have this big wedding, both of us dressed up. That's not the point. The point is, again, as she said, like, I mean, the right over my partner's body, the right over each other's wealth. We don't have enough money, but whatever we have, at least we should be able to own it together, you know. So we basically are able to at least own partially because we run a production company together. We are privileged in that sense, you know, that we both work in the same field. We run it. But for us, like, basically, I think it's really important to have ownership rights on each other, our body and wealth and everything. So that's the reason I would like to, in case it happens in my lifetime. I thought like 2018, I never would come. 377 would never go in my lifetime, but that happened. So hopefully this also will happen in my lifetime, and we are able to basically have a partnership rights. I'm not saying marriage rights, any kind of partnership rights. What Rituparna also was mentioning. I think even if that can happen, that'll be great.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I do believe, and I do completely support the fact that we need to redefine this very concept of marriage, first of all. And I do also agree with Ritu on the fact that we need to understand contextual queerness first. We can't always be looking at the West to define our legal battles here back in India. And I think on that note, we've come to the end of this discussion, and I would actually like to know from each one of you, what are your final notes to our wonderful viewers. We'll begin with Sridhar and Sagar.
You begin. For a change.
I would like to say, go for love and just don't have any set rules. Don't have any expectations. Like, don't make it a business deal. Like, I'll do this for you and you do this for me. Okay, there's no such barters happening here. Just go out of your way to do whatever you feel like to for the other person, and whatever comes to you is your share. So be happy with that. Don't start any relationship with any expectations.
So my thing is, like, I mean, I really think that, like, what is important is, like, I mean, for us to be in love, we need to be connected with the people around us. You know, my friends should be loving us, should accept our relationship. Our family should accept. In fact, one of the anecdotes is basically when my niece drew a picture of our family, okay, and she included Sagar in the picture. I mean, I said, who is this person there? You know, oh, that's Sagar uncle. I said, what? I mean, she understood the family much better, you know, than anybody would do that. For me, that's really important for families to accept us. And that's the reason we just continue to do our films, continue to fight. And I just hope one day we don't have to keep labeling ourselves as a gay couple, you know. But like till then, we would say that we're a gay couple, hammer it out. We need to go and tell our friends saying that, we need to tell our professional friends saying that we are a gay couple. You know, we need to underline that. I hope one day we don't have to underline these things, and we can just subsist on love per se.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sridhar and Sagar. Raga and Nicola.
Just looking at me. I think we should invest in a coffee plantation. Too many coffees. No, but for me, I think, you know, of course, love is a celebration. And I love what Sagar said about not having expectations. But I think it is being the voice of this love. That the kind of love that we have is the kind of love that we should have. It should be about love, not whether you're from same sex, or, you know, whatever that sub-labeling that we do. So to me, being the voice of the community, you know, sharing the narrative in my little way, I think that is what I would encourage anybody who's watching this to be a positive influence for the community and your own self.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm a very big advocate of anti-discrimination rules. And I think that we should be encouraging people from within our community to, whether they're activists, or to start getting into government, become MPs, we need voices. So we need to be supporting our community. Too much, I think our community gets divided on small issues, but we need to look at the bigger picture. And it's modern families. Families are families, you know, and we should embrace that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Raga. Rituparna and Amrita, do you have anything to say? Add to that?
Yeah, I agree with everyone I've heard so far. To the viewers, I would, if you are in love with someone, or, you know, even if it's your friends or whoever, you should take a lot of pride in what you do, because ultimately it's your actions which are going to matter. So, you know, it takes a lot of effort. You put it in and be proud of it. Be proud that you have the capacity to reach out to someone and make them feel special and loved. It might be anyone. So again, going beyond same sex or whatever, it could be anyone. So that's my take.
I have a string of, like, from my past relationship, very bad relationship, abusive, where gaslighting happened and sexual abuse, and a lot of things happened. But when I met Amrita, one thing that really happened with me is the kind of acceptance that she has for me. Like, I have some disabilities, like some psychosocial disability, and the kind of acceptance she has for me, like, kabhi bhi, like, every time she's there for me, like, her mother is there for me, she's there for me, and she'll never make mockery out of anything. And she's witty, she's fun, she'll make a joke out of everything. I think that's what is about love, and she does this extra to make me feel loved. And I'm 6 years elder to her, and I always feel I'm elder, I'm growing old. Sridhar, I feel it. I'm growing old. I'm growing old, but she's always there, like, to hold my hands, to cuddle, to wake up next to me, and I've never felt this ever in my life. And therefore I accepted her ring when she gave me this ring. I would never accept this. I'm such a rebel. I'll never accept this. I'll never say yes to anyone like this. But she just made me do it. I think this is love. Let it bring tears to your eyes. I think this is what Amrita does to me.
That's so adorable. So adorable. Thank you so much, folks. You all have been so inspiring, and it's been so enriching for me personally as well, to just be listening to all your incredible points of view. And thank you so much for joining us. If we have any questions from viewers, we can definitely take them on as well. Shivraj, do you have any question for our panelists?
No, I think I've got a lot of material for my panel tomorrow on courtship and love and dignity, because it's going to be the same debate. What comes first, anti-discrimination laws or marriage? And for single folks like us, it's a big wide ocean, and I envy the love. I see the love on the screen. And thank you so much for sharing your stories, because I think it's inspirational. It gives us a lot of things to think about, you know, a lot of emotive things. And for some of us who are single and still looking, there's hope. Even if we're much older, but that's still hope. But thank you so much, everyone, for your perspectives, and it was absolutely wonderful.